Good afternoon. I'm Brian Abshire, Vice President of the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury. I'm filling in for President Guillory, who could not be present with us this afternoon. The Executive Policy Group just completed a meeting, and as a reminder, this group consists of the Police Jury President, all mayors of Calcasieu municipalities, as well as the sheriff. As many of you are aware, the COVID-19 outbreak continues, and earlier today, Governor Edwards announced some new requirements related to this issue. We want to cover what these changes are and discuss the local impacts of these changes. At this time, I will ask Brian Beam, Calcasieu Parish Administrator, to come to the podium.
Thank you, Vice President Abshire. This is not the operational briefing. Excuse me, I'm Brian Beam, Calcasieu Parish Administrator. This is not the operational briefing that we're doing each day at 11:30. That was held earlier today. We certainly can answer any questions as we need to this afternoon, but this is, as Brian said, in direct a result of the governor's, what he's calling an amended executive order dealing with some more restrictive requirements throughout the state. We'll hit on those quickly, and certainly anybody from the Executive Policy Group, which is all the mayors, the sheriff's office as well. I will just quickly go through the main points from the executive order, and then we certainly take any questions. I will say at the outset, and our elected officials will comment more, all of our public offices that we represent continue to be open and will be open. Everything is subject to change depending on what comes down, but that will continue, and we'll get into that in more detail. The highlights of the executive order, there are about 5 areas that were affected. The first one is a 50-person gathering limit, meaning it was set at a maximum of 250 people, which would be required to have less than that when you meet. That has now been lowered by Governor Edwards in the executive order to 50 persons. Another aspect of this, and I'm going to generalize because the details are really, you'll have to get from the state's executive order. Restaurants and bars are closed effective midnight Tuesday, or midnight tonight, beginning Tuesday, from eating on site. It doesn't mean that they are closed from takeout or pickup, but will not be able to eat on site or go into eating establishments or bars after midnight. The casinos had a separate announcement, or the Gaming Control Board did, regarding the closure of casinos, and that's, I think, included in there as well. Movie theaters have also been closed, as well as gyms and fitness centers. So it's very broad. It's obviously a lot more restrictive, and that is in response to what, of course, is a very different situation than we're used to seeing. You may hear in a few minutes from Dr. Kavanaugh, the Region 5 Office of Public Health Director, but I feel comfortable passing on that from the medical community, the key is you don't wait till a case hits before you take these measures. These are very understandable, and on behalf of all of these elected officials, we're very supportive of that. The parish, the cities, law enforcement supports these actions, and we just want folks to know that the local representatives that represent you are meeting regularly. We just got out of an executive policy group meeting where these things are discussed in detail, and so we recognize their importance, and we're going to do as best we can to help these new guidelines or restrictions be carried out locally within our area. At that time, those are the main points. At this time, I want to give our elected officials an opportunity for any comments. Certainly, if you have any questions regarding any of their particular issues or times or hours at cities, so forth. I will say at the parish, where I'm administrator, again, we continue to be open to the public. We are restricting our staff. We have met with all of our department heads, and we are limiting the number of people that actually come into work to try to honor what the goal is here, but we remain open, and like a lot of others, we will go on rotations. and we will make sure we get the job done, but we will remain open for the public. At this point, if it's okay, and that, Brian, did you have anything else from the parish side at this point?
No, not right now. Thank you.
Okay, we can take anybody who wants to talk. At this point, if it's okay, I'd go ahead and ask Mayor Hunter of Lake Charles to come to the podium.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon, Nick Hunter, Mayor of Lake Charles. I want to say that I was part of a conference call earlier today with Governor Edwards, where he explained to mayors throughout the state some of his amended order. We are supportive locally of those amendments. And I also want to say, again, that nobody wants to be in the situation we are in today. But I wouldn't want to be in it with another group than you see me standing by right now today. This group that's on the executive policy group has acted with cohesion, with one message, and we want to continue to do that for the benefit of Southwest Louisiana. Southwest Louisiana, these absolutely are uncharted waters that we find ourselves in right now, but we're not unfamiliar with challenging times. Nearly 15 years ago, our lives were completely turned upside down and disrupted by Hurricane Rita. And I want to challenge all of us to dig back in our memories and think about maybe the first time we drove back into Calcasieu Parish after Hurricane Rita and seeing what this community looked like and wondering how we would ever put the pieces back together. But we did it, and we did it through cooperation and teamwork. We not only survived Hurricane Rita without power, no school, and a major reduction in everyday conveniences that we're so accustomed to, but we came through those challenging times together, stronger and a better community. Just as we have overcome past storms, downturns, and other difficult times, we will get through this together. I know the days and weeks ahead will be challenging, but citizens, we are urging you to follow the directives set out by Governor Edwards' executive order. Although we have not seen any confirmed cases in Southwest Louisiana, we owe it to our neighbors across the state and here at home to do the right thing, to do our part to help minimize the spread of COVID-19. We ask that you continue to practice good hand-washing hygiene, limit your movements throughout the city and the parish, and if you are sick, please stay home. Please practice the social distancing. And this is the recommendation of the governor and the President of the United States. To business owners, I realize that this is a concern, and I'm a small business owner myself. I understand the fear and the uncertainty that you're facing right now. This is a time, however, where we have to trust our leadership and follow the directives of the state and federal governments. Resources are limited, and enforcement of the orders will only place an even greater burden on our local law enforcement. Please help do your part by complying with the governor's directive. We are confident that there will be resources available to help lessen the impact of these suspensions of services. We will fight for those resources for you. But for now, we are asking you to be a good neighbor and help us fight the spread of this virus. Through conversations with other mayors, some of my next comments will be specific for the city of Lake Charles. However, I know with some variation, most cities are following the same plan. City of Lake Charles remains operational, and we have heard statements from both President Trump and Governor Edwards today. And again, we are supportive of those statements, and we are acting accordingly. We have scaled back the number of employees in certain departments. City Hall remains open during normal business hours. Trash and garbage routes are still running, and public safety is still fully operational. Our community centers, 1911 Historic City Hall and Civic Center, are closed to the public. I know that during this time we are often thinking about the immediate needs, and those absolutely are the humanitarian effort and the health effort. I'm very happy that VOAD, which is an organization activated in times of disaster, is meeting tomorrow. And VOAD is a coalition of local stakeholders, both public, private, and nonprofit. This group is a nimble group. They have some excellent qualifications as far as the members of this group, and I am very confident that both through our efforts, VOAD's efforts, and the efforts of this general public, we will meet the needs of our citizens here in Southwest Louisiana. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hunter. At this time, I would ask if there are any other elected officials who would like to speak. And we want to certainly give them an opportunity. As Mayor Hunter mentioned, though, because we met ahead of time, trash pickup and other operations, all of the cities and the parish will continue to have those operations ongoing. Certainly, this is moving at an extremely rapid pace. If there are changes, that's possible some of that will change, but as of now, fully open. And certainly, we want to give anybody a chance if there are any questions. I believe that is the main points. And I forgot to mention, Sheriff Mancuso and Stitch Gilry, as Chief Deputy, were here, but they are attending to some specific things related to law enforcement. He was unable to attend today, but he's certainly been in the loop the whole time. And I'm sorry, Mayor Hardy, thank you. Mayor Hardy, City of Westlake, actually, they have a meeting this evening, so he was here earlier, but he had to attend that meeting. At this time, I believe that concludes our main comments. Mainly to summarize, local officials are very engaged in this effort, and we are listening closely at the federal level, at the state level, and certainly I want to mention too, there's a lot of focus on meeting with local medical representatives, medical organizations, hospitals, and so forth. We will continue those dialogue. I know there's some efforts to increase some testing that was announced earlier today. We certainly encourage that. It's very heartening to see all of our local hospitals working together for a common purpose and a common need. I know there's going to be some details on how that works, and I think they will communicate that through their channels, but we fully support their efforts in regard to testing and other parts of this COVID response. So any questions at this time from anyone? Yes.
So will it be a state, what will the governor have to decide if the local offices will close? Will that come on the state level, or will that be a local decision to come to that?
My answer to that would be certainly if the governor's office or federal, because as Mayor Hunter alluded to, we're getting directives from both, and they're aligned at this point. The governor has the authority, and if there's some version of what we may call a shutdown, which means everything's a little further stopped, we certainly would have to abide by that. I do believe, though, if a local agency chooses on its own to close for reasons it feels are important to comply with the spirit of what we're trying to do, they have the authority to do that. I believe, speaking on behalf of the group, our intent is to stay open for as long as we can. I suspect if it came to that, it would be something that would be a directive from the governor that you would see that happen. You can see that it's gotten more detailed and more strict just in the last, 48 hours. So we certainly are very attentive to that. And certainly if anybody else has something to add, just tap me on the shoulder and you can have the microphone. Any other questions for this group? Thank you for coming. I believe the next, Dick Grimmy, on our OEP director, 11:30 tomorrow. It's our daily briefing. Operational, it is, because of the nature now, we are asking, that is very limited for attendance. We strongly encourage people, though, at 11:30. It will be on our Calcasieu Parish Police Jury Facebook page. It'll be streamed live, and of course, you can watch it at any point after that. But that, barring any other announcements, that'll be the next public briefing we have. Thank you.